setting boundaries, always meet who's coming into your household and who's taking your daughter where. Always question them. Hey, what have you guys been up to? How are you guys? Because you don't know if she's going into a relationship that's potentially violent, mind manipulating, sexually disturbing. You will see the signs, but you got to constantly be aware and ask them. You don't have to be like, where'd you go last night? What'd you do? She's like, oh, so how was it? Again, it's the private detective. How was it? Oh my God, it's great. What'd you guys do? Oh my God. We used to do that too. Okay, I gotta write that down. That's never gonna remember. Thanks. Yeah, what else is going on? Yeah, it's great. To me, that's the most valuable thing you get, as much information. Keep that open line of communication.
What's doing, everybody? I'm Alec Lace. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood. Today's guest on the podcast is legendary comedian Jim Breuer. Jim is very well known for his roles in movies such as Half-Baked, as well as his time on Saturday Night Live. He is one of the funniest comedians of my lifetime. It's a big honor to have him on the podcast today. So get down there, smack the subscribe button, tap that like, and let's jump into it right now with Jim Breuer on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father Jim Breuer. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
It's a pleasure to talk with you.
All right, let's start right here. How many kids do you have? How old are they?
Alec, I have 3 girls, 22, 19, 16, which would explain the bags under my eyes, which would explain the vein that I often get from here to comes down here, which would explain my calm demeanor over the years. I've become more calm as time goes on. It's, God has taught me a lot about patience and being still. We are 3 teenage girls.
Yeah, God bless you there.
Thank you. And that's not including the wife.
Well, we can't forget her. Yeah, I got 3 boys. Then we got our girl on the 4th try, Jim. So I had, if we didn't get her on 4, we were going to go for 5. So we got her on 4. Were you guys going to try for the boy there, or you guys were like, that's the end of this?
Oh, no. What? It was never a question. And to be quite honest with you, I have to say, I didn't really ever care if I had a boy or a girl. I wasn't the type that was like, oh, it'd be great to have, 1 boy, 1 girl, or 2 boys, 1 girl, whatever. Whatever I got, I was willing to take and take it from there. But after the 3rd one, yeah, we were done. That is, people don't understand the physical, just a physical whooping every 3 or 4 hours, waking up while you're in a psychological warfare with the older ones. There's so much going on. I loved every second of it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really looking forward to this next chapter in my life.
Yeah, I imagine you are. And if you could hear Jim, please just take 1 minute to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, by trade, I'm a stand-up comedian. That's where I always started doing stand-up comedy, and the stand-up comedy led to, some television, a little bit of film. But even with that, I was very successful in that world. It was family that became the forefront of all of it. So I had some great opportunities, but I also knew I didn't want to go to California. I didn't want to be part of the Hollywood world where not many families last, not many, because you're focused more on not being a dad and not being a good husband and not being there for, the most important thing I realized watching other families growing up and watching broken homes and all that jazz, I realized that your kids are not around forever. Hollywood money, whatever you chase, is around forever. And if you still have that drive and you still have the talent, it's always going to be there. You just say it. But that's what I do by trade. I'm a stand-up comedian. I tour as a comedian. I do pretty good at it. I'm happy with where I've been and I always kind of seem to be beating to my own drum, which I thank God I had that opportunity and I still do.
Yeah, very well said, Jim. Yeah, you've had a tremendous career over the years here. And I talk about on my podcast all the time the fatherless crisis that we have going on in our country. So many kids are growing up without a father or father figure in the home. The family unit has really been decimated in this country. And in my opinion, it's the number one social issue we have going on. We're trying to solve all these other social issues, but unless we start strengthening our family units, I think we're just beating a dead drum. We're just running around in circles.
No, you're 100% right. And that's the basis of humanity. We've over the last, 20, 30 years, I got so addicted to becoming over the word successful and becoming the ultimate goal. It's, they say drugs are addicting, heroin and all that. Well, guess what? So is money. So is being, quote, successful. And it's like if you work your way up the branch, you need to get higher and you want to be higher. And what that has done is ripped the family unit to pieces. And that's what you're taught in college. That's what you're taught in school. It starts there. Be all you can, be the best. And when you are the best, it's all for you. We as humans, we're meant to look after each other. That's what it all comes down to. We started as tribes and we're still tribes. It's being ripped apart by whatever we're being programmed. And so as we carry through life, there's nothing more important than setting examples for your kids. And the key part too is you have to realize, unlike being successful in a CEO or in a business or whatever, you're not getting an award. You're not getting the raise. You're not getting, what you're getting is giving the most valuable thing you can give to another human. And that's the tools to be a good parent when they become one, to be a good human being, to be able to care, to be able to understand, to be able to make smart decisions, to be able to make mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and continue on. And that, what has happened over the years is you travel and you're never home, or you're working. When I was a kid, there was no working on the weekends. There's no working on, you don't work on weekends. You were a freak. You were a freak. Your dad works on Saturday. Was he a freak? No one works on the weekends. No one's working past 5 o'clock. What are you, a freak? What are you guys in turmoil? So the addiction of wanting more and more and more has blinded the human spirit, has blinded the parent of the most important thing in life, and that's parenthood. And I even say it with mothers. I find it disturbing and I find it disgusting that they have been taught that being a mother is not good enough. You have to be more important. Says who? You are the goddess of life. You're the one that holds the precious jewel of a child that you are gifted and blessed with, that you hold on, that you nurture. That is a powerful, powerful, key essential part of life. And the balance with the father and the mother. I am so blessed that my wife was able to stay home through those years. And I have to say, we helped each other out. And to see other women be snarky with her and look down to her was something I'll never forget. And I realized this was society's creation. This was college creation. This was an agenda creation. And quite frankly, I think it's disgusting. That's just my honest opinion. And people could bark and foam at the mouth and say what they want. But what's more important? Like I make lots of money, or your child's messed up because you're never around. But you got all you can get, and the same thing with fathers. It's a very tricky thing. It's not easy being a parent. It's probably the hardest thing in the world. But damn, you're lucky you got gifted of having that child and trusted by the highest spirits to have a child.
Yeah, listen, I'm 100% right there with you. My wife was able to stay home with our four kids, and for some reason, I think, and obviously, I think by design, moms that stay at home, like, even saying "stay at home," it sounds
It sounds like we're enslaving them. Stay at home.
Right, stay at home, as opposed to what? Right. Yeah. So I listen, I think, and this is the biggest reason why I do this podcast, is to bring on guys that have had all these success and accolades like yourself, Super Bowl MVPs, guys that have really accomplished, and they all say the same thing. Hey, listen, yes, I did this or that, but it's really been through becoming a father that's given me really any true sense of fulfillment in life. So I'm trying to get that message out to these young men who are being told, go out and get the big house and the big car and the big lifeline and the big Instagram account. And it's like, it's all fake. It's all this material stuff that brings nothing but emptiness. So I think it's the number one problem we have going on right now. It's this illusion. Years ago, people lived in smaller places and had bigger families. Today, everyone's got a bigger place and a smaller family, and our priorities somewhere along the line have been skewed.
You absolutely nailed it. I mean, growing up, we were, and not to sound like old timers, but you were family. You all looked at each other. We gather in groups because the group helps each other. That's the tribe. That's the village. That's the whole. And if you look at, it's very interesting. I'll fill you on something, because this is about parenthood, and it always cracks me up when I see, if I make a post, I'll go on Facebook Live or something, and I love when people will say, well, your career ended with X, Y. You sucked ever since, and the reason why you're doing this because you can't. And I don't get bothered by it, because in 1999, when I had my daughter, I was peaking, the movie Half Baked. I had movie offers. I left Saturday Night Live because it was such a toxic environment for me. I was peaking. I had It wasn't like this guy's terrible. I was peaking. They made a doll after me. It was, but I knew they were pushing hard, and I also saw a lot. I met a lot of celebrities. I get to see behind the curtain. The public doesn't. And I will use the word, disturbed me, traumatized me. And I said, I don't want to be this human being. This is not what humanity is about, or fatherhood. So we picked a place. We went to New Jersey. And we were living in Manhattan, went to New Jersey. And we went to New Jersey. We started a family. And after my second child, I did realize I was traveling a lot, because that's how I make my money. And I was peaking, and the shows were selling out, and I was making amazing money. But I also saw it was taking a toll on my wife, really taking a toll. And then I realized, you know what? I need to be home. So what I did, which a lot of people don't know, I went to Sirius XM radio before they even had Stern or anyone, because I wanted to be home. I wanted to make sure I was home for my children and home for my wife. And I took a show, and the show was called Breuer Unleashed. And I took two of my best friends that I grew up with from Long Island that still worked. One worked at FedEx, and the other one was working as a wedding singer, and another comedian friend. And we did that for a few years. And what that allowed me to do was still be creative, but at the same time, I was able to be home in the mornings all the way up until 2. I would leave my house about 1:30, 2 o'clock, get into the city at 3:30, be live from 4 to 6, and then get home by 7:30, 8 o'clock. When that started coming to an end and my kids got a little older, I went back on the road. And right now, I'm at a point where the two older ones have left the house. However, we're just left with the 16-year-old. And the 16-year-old, I realize, needs a lot more attention than I anticipated. So I am now in the process of creating a podcast, Patreon, to take myself off the road. And even if it fails and does horrendous and I don't make a penny, I started with nothing. I know what that's like. As long as you have family, friends, and love, you're okay. But the reason why I do this, and that was another thing with the radio, I knew my parents were getting elderly. So I flew them from Florida to New York. So mentally, the outside world's like, what happened to Jim Breuer? What happened was I was taking care of my elderly parents, which I loved. I got to hold my dad to his last breath. I got to be with my mom as she passed. I got to see my children grow up. And now I'm at the point again where I said, my daughter has a year and a half. This is her 11th grade. I want to be there in her 11th and 12th grade as much as possible. I drive her to school every morning. I try to pick her up. It hurts me when I'm away. I know she's having struggles with mom or whatever. So it's time for me to adjust again. And that is way more important in my life that allows me to sleep at night than whatever sold out show I'm getting, whatever gig I get offered. Those mean nothing to me because I only got a year and a half left with this kid. So I'm not that I'm tooting my own horn, but the outside world doesn't know those decisions, and that's okay. I do, and I sleep very well at night.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff, Jim. And listen, just like you, I'm involved in just everything my kids do. I love it. I try to absorb all of it. I'm a class parent every chance I get. I'm always volunteering for everything, coach them in all their sports. I mean, this is it. Like, and I don't want to miss it. So I hear what you're saying. And I wish, there'd be more people that would make that decision. Because like I said, right now, and this is one of the reasons why I have so much respect for the men and women that serve in the military is because I can't imagine having to be deployed overseas and not be with your kids. I mean, I can't imagine what that does psychologically to so many of them. I know now it's a little bit easier, not easier, but better with like FaceTime and stuff where you can actually see them and be brought to some of the events. But it's a humongous sacrifice that these guys and women make. So it's one of the reasons why I bring a lot of military dads on the podcast here as well. But I just want to transition into you. One of the things I'm curious about, Jim, is because you've been doing the comedy, so successful at it. Have your kids, is it difficult for them to tell when you're being serious and when you're fooling around? Because sometimes like you could switch right in the middle. I'm sure for them it's different. And what type of disciplinarian are you as a dad?
They know when I'm serious. They know when I'm goofy. They know. And actually, I think they like less funny dad at home, if that makes sense. They seem to be funnier and they seem to run the roost, but the entertainer dad is like the oldest one is now appreciating funny dad, off the stage funny. Where the other two think it's dorky and whatever and whatever. So I'm still dad. And I know too, my father, he was hilarious. But, World War II vet, grew up with nothing. When I say nothing, he used to talk about eating possum pie and turtle soup. And I thought that was a joke until he got together with his 10 brothers and sisters and they would talk about growing up in Kentucky and in one house and they all slept on the floor and had no money. And it's like, oh my God. And then 3 years in the Philippines, never complained, never moaned about anything, never said that, never. He was there as a dad. And at 21, he took me. Everyone else said he was funny, and I'd hear people laughing. Never was funny with me until I turned 21. He's like, oh, you're a man. We got a beer now. And that was the beginning of me realizing how damn funny in this whole different world of my father. I think my oldest one is starting to discover that about me. Discipline. Whew. I'm good cop. I'm subtle, undercover agent. My wife is bad cop. So it's something goes down, she goes in, bing, bang, you dang, and who do you, and the die, dang, you ever, I swear, die, you dang, your daughter, die, don't you raise up. And then I'll come in like, you want a cigarette? Listen, I'm gonna do my best. I'll try to get your phone back. We just gotta talk about some stuff here. You sure you don't want a cigarette? You want a drink? Something else? Let's talk about what happened here and how we can change this in the future. And I'll do what I can to just calm down this guy. This cop, they get riled up. They've been on the force for a while. And it is what it is. I'm not sure if that's the right tactic, but what I've learned too, what I discovered, which I started doing a podcast a while ago, and I would bring my daughter on. And the best compliment was I had two people in town that come up to me and go, "You helped me so much with my teenagers." I said, "Really?" Because I watch your podcast. I'm like, "Really? Get out of here." He goes, "Yeah, you nailed it." And I guess what he was saying was, what I discovered with teenagers, the hardest thing in the world is they reach an age, depending on the boy, girl, it depends on the individual. They want to be treated like an adult. They want to make their own decisions. They want to be talked to like an adult. The fine line is, we as a parent still see, we still see the doof, the just like, oh my God, that's you're sitting there belching and farting, picking your nose, and okay. What do you want to do exactly now? I discovered, I call it my friend Larry syndrome. It's helped tremendously with teenagers. I'm going to talk to you right now the way I would talk to my friend Larry if Larry was doing this or Larry was talking about this. I would say to Larry, why would you do, I don't know if this is the right, why would you do something like that? Rather than, who do you think you are? Are you stupid? Are you a moron? You know what? You're not allowed to do this. And they hit a stage in life where that just comes, they just flatline the minute you start going there. And it's not easy. And I'm not saying that's the right way, but it's helped tremendously. It doesn't stop them from being sneaky and manipulative, but that's usually the course that I take. We're trying to discipline and communicate with them. It's communication. You got to really, I tell other parents, like, listen, if they get in the car and they start playing that music, God, F you, and you're fit, your first instinct is to go, why would you listen to that? However, I like gathering information. I like going into the whys. Why are they listening to this? Are they pissed? Are they sexual? What is drawing you to whatever you're watching and listening to? Because that is your key to finding out the why they're acting like this. Why are they dressing like this? Why are they talking like this? And once you keep peeling away the onion to find the why, it'll help you with so many issues that you may not even know are going on.
Yeah, and listen, that's awesome stuff because I'm right there now. I got my two oldest are teenagers, 15, 14. My two older boys. My girl, like I said, is my only one. She's 7, so I'm in no hurry to get her into the stage of the teenage era there. But one of the things I worry about, and you're there now, is obviously when the boys come knocking and the dating scene begins. How did you kind of handle it, or what kind of advice did you do for your girls here when they became old enough to hit that dating scene?
That was a very tough one. Because girls are quicker to the show. At least mine were. You know, girls, the minute they start changing and getting their period, they're ready to go. They start dressing differently, and the hardest thing in the world is they're on the phone. You know, when me and you were growing up, it was a project. When I say project, it was like a PSYOPs Navy SEAL project to see a boob or to see a butt cheek. You know, you'd be on cable, and I remember when I first got cable came out, and your friend be at the freaking outside during the school period, like, hey, listen, come over here. What's going on? If you press the 2 and the 11 on your box at the same time, after 11 p.m., there'd be a little grainy thing, and you might catch a 10-second of a bloop, a little boob, like, really? And I'd wait for hours for my parents to go to bed, like 2 and 11, and it'd be all like, and then for a second, bloop, like, oh my God. Where unfortunately now they're exposed to extremely violent, disturbing, hardcore sexual indoctrination at a very young age. And they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. And that, to me, that's the biggest battle. Is I would tell them, like, listen, if you're watching stuff, I'm telling you right now, stuff is not real. It's this person's addicted to something, or someone's purposely. That is not what life. That is not what a relationship is. Be very careful if whatever you're putting out, what you're gonna get. So when the boys first started coming, you know right away. You know right away. Once you see them, you go, uh-huh. And you gotta lay the law down. But it's also tricky because girls will just immediately like, oh, you don't like him? Good, I'm gonna see you more. My first one, she was a challenge. The second one, I have to say, a very, very, probably one of the best young men that ever came into our household. Extremely respectful. When a boy comes in and he says, I don't know your last name, but hello, Mr. Breuer, pleasure to meet you. I'll just wait here for whatever. At least there's that respect factor where if you're not looking at me, and there is no waiting outside. No. I need to meet everybody. I need to look them in the eye, and they need to look me in the eye, because there's always repercussions if something goes down, and we already made a connection. So if they don't have a connection, they can care less with what they're going to attempt to do or try to get away with. But you also make those boundaries with your daughter. And, my daughter would push the buttons, and naturally we all do. So it's setting boundaries. Always meet who's coming into your household and who's taking your daughter where. And always question them. Hey, what have you guys been up to? How are you guys? Because you don't know if she's going into a relationship that's potentially violent, mind manipulating, sexually disturbing. You will see the signs, but you got to constantly be aware and ask them. You don't have to be like, "Where'd you go last night? What'd you do?" She's like, "Oh, so how was it?" Again, it's the private detective. How was it? Oh my God, it's great. What'd you guys do? Oh my God. We used to do that too. Okay, I gotta write that down. That's never gonna remember. Thanks. Yeah, what else is going on? Yeah, it's great. To me, that's the most valuable thing you get, as much information. Keep that open line of communication.
Yeah, listen, I'm trying to callous my mind here for what's to come for me. And I'm hoping my three boys will be able to help me out when the time comes, and they could be, in on it with me here. So we'll see how that goes. And you're right there. I remember if one kid in class had a Playboy magazine, he was like the man. Everybody would huddle around. Now today, you just have to Google a naked woman, and you have thousands of pages to look at it. Like if that were the case back in the day with all me and the friends, you'd have to walk through the room with a raincoat on. You know what I mean? So it's so easy right now, and
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
disturbing how simple it is for these kids today. So, and like I said, I got two teenage boys, and it's like I try to put myself in their shoes. It's like they have a treasure trove of this stuff to go through. So it's hard to find that balance. Like, hey, don't look at that. I'm like, what are you looking at there? You know what I mean? So it's a difficult balance for sure when it comes to all of it.
Yeah. And it's just, you just got to keep talking to them like, hey, just be respectful. Just be respectful. Be respectful. You got to preach respect as much as possible. Be nice to her. Um, just be nice to the person you're with. You just never, we all make mistakes or do whatever, but that's as much as I try to push and set little boundaries and know when they're gonna try to do their little, whooshy whooshy, and and you're not gonna avoid it. You're not gonna stop it. The best you could do is just let them know you're kind of aware, which whatever.
We'll see.
Not
Yeah,
easy.
it's definitely going to change me as a person. I know going through it. So, like I said, I'm preparing myself for it now. But I wanted to switch over to this and getting into what you do. Obviously, right now the cancel culture has gone running wild, and I can only imagine as for new comedians coming up today, they probably, I would think, struggle where that fine line is. Where it seems like years ago there was no limit on what comedians could do, and now it seems like if you're trying to do comedy, you got to worry about who you're offending or what. So, what kind of advice do you have for the parents out there that have kids that are trying to pursue a comedy career? Should there be a fine line they're walking? How do they go about it?
You know, all I can say is for myself. I always ask comics, people that want to do comedy. I always ask them the same question: why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna get, and then I'm gonna be a, and then I'm gonna are you doing it for the hoopla, or do you really enjoy the feeling of making someone laugh? Because that is a powerful, beautiful, spiritual feeling, which is what I first started with. Now, of course, I went through stages of I want my leather pants, and then after my leather pants, I'm probably going to get a kangaroo, and then and I'm going to have a farm. Of course, I went through that stage. Um, as long as you are doing it for the right reasons, and you're not just purposely trying to shock people or whatever, you should be fine. Intention is always the greatest part of whatever you're putting out there, whether it's comedy or lectures or whatever. What's your intention? Which is a big part of my new, I have a new special coming out in November. And I'm putting it on my own Patreon page, and people could download it. I don't have to worry about Netflix or whoever going, oh, the content, because the content in this new special, it's called Somebody Had to Say It. I think that explains a lot. Is a lot about cancel culture. It hits gender, race, cancel culture, words, gender, you name it, I talk about it. And I believe I present it in a way where 99.9% of the audience will go, I never really thought of it like that. And not only did I not think about it like that, that's pretty damn funny. It's really funny. And of course, you're going to have two people that are just like, oh my God, he's a white supremacist. He clearly voted for this. And he's in the world of categorize. What are you? Go to the left. What are you? Go over there. What are you? You're this. What are you? Blah, blah, blah. What's the word you said? This way. And that's part of programming, brainwashing. I call it the cockatoos. The cockatoos listen to their favorite news programs and a little hair, and they start, and that's all they know, and that's okay. But I'm not afraid of that world if your intention is correct. And I'm sure I'm going to get a little bit of something when this special comes out, but I am fearless of it because I know there's no mean intention. It just is what it is. And quite frankly, between what's been going on in the world the last year and a half, 2 years, and culturally the last couple, somebody had to say it.
Dan, well, I'll tell you what, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'll put a link in the description of this podcast episode so my listeners can get over there and check it out. But I'll tell you what, I think there's a real hunger and a thirst for the material, Jim. I think people are dying for it because I think under the surface of what we're seeing, people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired of the bullshit that's been going on for the last year and a half here.
They're done. And let me tell you this. I've played in the most what people say is like, you got away with it in that area. I've played everywhere. New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Michigan, Ohio, California, Nevada, Florida, Iowa. Everybody with this special, with this material, acts the same way. And my audience is not a certain political they're not. I don't do any politics. I never have. I still don't, and I refuse to. But I will talk common sense. And if you would like to define, if your little brain defines it as however you define it, that's on you. That means you got to work on whatever you've been programmed. So I will tell you this: there is a hunger. And people go bonkers. And that's when I knew I started doing this material right out of the gate and in a tent because we weren't allowed indoors. And I knew it was onto something. Not that I was onto something, but I knew I was hitting a nerve with everyone. Everyone feels this way, and we're afraid to say it. To be in a society where you fear what you're going to say, well, guess what? You're now in the communist world. You are now in a socialist world. You're now in a world where the government has installed that fear, and you will do as we say, and this is for your safety. And make sure you report those that are not walking along our lines. And remember, we love our free country. And if you can't see that, I don't know how to help you. So I make it pretty clear as day in this special called Somebody Had to Say It. And I got to say, to see people that this is the best response I ever have is thank. And the reason why I said this, I didn't know what I was going to call it. Every place I played, people came up and they went, thank you. I feel like I just went to church and they got the, like, I can't believe you said what we've all been dying to say and what we say behind closed doors. You make me feel so, oh my God. Thank God somebody is saying it. Somebody has to say it. And I went, oh my God, somebody had to say it. I'm going to name it that. And that every single show, somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. Somebody has. Thank God you said it, because somebody has to say it. And so there you go. I'm not afraid of cancel culture, and I pray that the new people aren't. But always remember, at the end of the day, you got to be funny, because funny is the healer. And not everyone's going to laugh. Not everyone's going to like you. And once you're okay with that, and I am okay with that, I know what kind of person I am. I know what kind of human I am. I know what kind of parent I am. That's more important. And I know what kind of comedy I put out there. And I'm very blessed to be able to have that. So I don't worry about cancel culture. Those are people that are, unfortunately, there's a lot going on up here. And I can't get in that psychological world. That's on them. They need to heal. They need healing. And maybe one day they will.
Yeah. Well said. I agree with you, Jim. Not only am I looking forward to the special, I'm looking forward to the reaction to the special too. So really cool that it's coming up. I'm going to move you along here. The last thing I want to hit you with, Jim, I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
The new dad is, welcome to the greatest club that humanity can ever give you. Do not take it lightly. You've been asked to take on a powerful role that will last for generations. And it isn't always the most thankful job, but it is your duty. And have a damn good time with it. Enjoy every second you can. Enjoy every moment. Watch them grow and learn from them. You can learn so much from the spirit of a child, your child. And that's what I usually end up telling them.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. This has been a lot of fun for me. I got to say, Jim Breuer, you're a first-class father all the way, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
It was a pleasure. All the best to you. Safe journeys, and God bless, and much laughter in your world. Have a good one.